Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into how to get that no visa required stamp, or NVR, for hassle-free travel to Bangladesh. We'll be using the official guide from the Bangladeshi Assistant High Commission in Birmingham to make this a really clear step-by-step explainer. So, let's jump right in and make this whole thing super straightforward for you.
So, does this sound familiar? You really want to visit family, maybe see the home where you grew up, or just reconnect with your heritage in Bangladesh. But the thought of going through the visa application process every single time just feels like such a hassle. Well, what if you didn't have to?
And that's exactly where the NVR stamp comes in. It is what it sounds like, a one-time stamp in your British passport that lets you travel to Bangladesh as often as you want, for as long as you want, without ever having to think about applying for a visa again. It's a total game changer. Okay, first things first. Is this guide actually for you? It's really important to know that this explainer is specifically for people applying through the Assistant High Commission in Birmingham, which covers some very specific parts of the UK.
So, if you live in the Midlands, we're talking areas like the West Midlands, Leicestershire or Cambridgeshire, or if you're in South Wales, in places like Cardiff and Swansea, then yep, you're in the right place. This is your local mission.
All right, so you've confirmed you're in the right region. Now let's get to the next really important question. Who can actually apply for one of these NVR stamps? Well, it's designed for people who have very clear and direct ties to Bangladesh. Generally, it breaks down into three main groups. First up, we have British citizens who are of Bangladeshi origin themselves. Then you have the children of those people. And third, in certain situations, the spouse of a Bangladeshi citizen can apply. Though, as we're about to see, the rules for spouses are a little more specific. Okay, let's talk about the process itself. And I've got good news for you. The Assistant High Commission has broken it down into a really simple four-step journey. Let's walk through it together. And really, it's as easy as it looks. You fill out the form online and print it out. You book an appointment. You show up to that appointment with all your documents. And then you just go back and collect your passport. I mean, that's pretty much the whole thing right there. Okay, now this next part is where the details really, really matter. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what you need to bring with you. Because honestly, getting your paperwork right is the #1 key to a smooth, problem-free application. Before we dive into the different ways you might be eligible, there's a set of core documents that everybody needs to have. No exceptions here. Let's take a look at what those are. All right, so here are the 5 must-haves for everyone. First, that online form, all filled in and printed. Next, your current passport, and a key tip here, make sure it has at least 6 months of validity left on it. You'll also need proof of your UK address, like a utility bill, then 1 recent passport-size photo with a white background, and finally, of course, the application fee. Speaking of the fee, it's £70, and it's important you know how to pay. If you're going to the commission in person, you can just use a debit card. But, and this is a big but, if you're applying by post, you have to include a postal order for the full £70. All right, so once you've got those 5 core items all sorted, the next step is to add the specific documents that prove why you're eligible. This is the evidence of your connection to Bangladesh, and this is the part that's going to be different for each applicant. Now, this table is super helpful because it lays it all out. So if you're of Bangladeshi origin yourself, you just need one of the items on the right, like an old Bangladeshi passport or a 17-digit birth certificate. Easy enough. Now, if you're a child applying, you'll need 2 things, your birth certificate plus your parents' Bangladeshi passport or their NVR. And for spouses, you can see it's a bit more involved. You need a legalized marriage certificate, a DBS check, and your spouse's valid passport. So make sure you have all 3. And listen up, because this is a really, really important one. If your current name is different from the name on your supporting documents, maybe different from your birth certificate or old passport, you absolutely must provide a legal name change deed. And it can't just be any old copy. It needs to be officially attested by the FCDO. That's the UK's Foreign Office. Seriously, don't skip this step. It'll cause huge delays. Okay, we are on the home stretch now. You've filled out the form, you've got all your documents in a neat pile. So how do you actually submit the whole thing? Well, you've got 2 main options. So you can either go in person or you can send it by post. If you go in person, you'll book an appointment online, show up, and pay right there with your debit card. It's really simple. The other option is to mail everything in. If you do that, just make sure you include that £70 postal order we talked about, and this is crucial, a prepaid, self-addressed return envelope so they can safely send your passport back to you. So how long does this all take?
Well, the standard turnaround is actually pretty quick, just 10 working days. Now, it's worth knowing that they do have an urgent process for special cases, like a documented family emergency. If that's your situation, you'll need to include proof, like your flight tickets, right there with your application.
And that's really all there is to it. From figuring out if you're eligible to gathering your documents and submitting your application, you're now totally ready to go. So I guess the only question left to ask is, once that NVR stamp is sitting in your passport unlocking all that hassle-free travel, who are you going to visit first?